Give it one more minute. Again, welcome to StraightUp Solar's webinar on the Tesla Powerwall. Appreciate you joining us here to learn how a fully integrated solar battery system can be customized to meet your home energy needs in a power outage, gain more control over your energy, and save money on your utility bill. I'm joined today by my two distinguished colleagues in Bloomington, Illinois, Andy C. and Doug Ireland. Andy is our project developer, and he's been in the solar industry for 6 years, doing sales and project development and marketing. He earned his NABCEP PV Associate certification, and that's one of the distinguishing marks of StraightUp Solar. Over 50% of our company have that NABCEP certification. That stands for the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. So at any solar company you look at, make sure you're talking to somebody like Andy, who's a NABCEP PV Associate here. And I'm really excited to work with people like Andy and Doug, who are really committed to renewable energy, very knowledgeable in the industry, and really wanting to promote a sustainable world, which goes to our core values here at StraightUp Solar. Doug Ireland is one of our veterans here at StraightUp Solar. He's been with the company since 2019, started as an installer once he graduated from the Midwest Renewable Energy Solar Training Academy. He's currently a residential field project coordinator, and he's kind of our quality reviewer. He starts the project with the installation team, giving them instructions on how it goes. And then he does the quality review and the commissioning of the site, and then walks the homeowner through how the system works. So Doug is very knowledgeable. We're really grateful to have Doug on the call today to really explain the nuts and bolts, the conduits, the wires, what lights up, what doesn't light up in a Tesla Powerwall here. And like I said, both of them are really passionate about clean energy and a sustainable world here. Let me give you a little more background about StraightUp Solar. We were founded in 2006. We are headquartered where I'm at in Maryland Heights, Missouri, which is a suburb of St. Louis. We have offices in Bloomington, Illinois, where Andy and Doug work out of, and Marion, Illinois, down in Southern Illinois. We were founded in 2006 by an orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Dane Glick, who was doing his residency in Eastern Kentucky in the Appalachian region, and was noticing a lot of patients coming in with black lung disease, and really was getting concerned about what fossil fuel mining was doing to the community in terms of the air quality, in terms of what it was doing to the people who worked in those mines here. And when Dane finished his residency, he really wanted to get into clean energy. He moved up here to St. Louis and decided to put a solar panel on his house. And back then in 2006, there weren't a heck of a lot of solar installers. So Dane, being a pretty smart guy, being a doctor, he got the book, studied the NABCEP book, and became a NABCEP certified installer. Put a solar installation on his roof. His neighbors thought that was pretty cool. He got a couple of guys in a truck. They started doing an installation here and there. And now, over 18 years later, his company's done 2,800 installations, over 54 megawatts to date here. And we're really proud to join this company to extend Dane's vision of caring beyond his medical practice for caring for our community and caring through clean energy. We do residential, commercial, and industrial. We also do battery storage, which we'll talk about tonight. Smart panels, which are a way you can manage your electrical loads, electrical vehicle charging, and we also are a service and maintenance provider. So we care for the system past installation. We have a fully staffed service department in both Bloomington and St. Louis and Southern Illinois who can go out and fix things if they're not working for your array here. We're considered an EPC, an engineering, procurement, and construction firm, which means we're a turnkey installer for projects up to 5 megawatts. So that covers pretty much most of the projects that occur in our communities here. We also manage some assets for some of the larger systems in our region. We have 120 employees, of which 50% have NABCEP certification. And we're also part of the Amicus Solar Cooperative, which we're all proud to be. For a small company of 120 people, we've joined a nationwide buying group of over 80 companies all across the country that allows us to purchase our equipment and our modules at a much cheaper cost than just a small business, and we're able to share some best practices amongst the companies here. So altogether, the Amicus Solar Cooperative would represent the 10th largest solar installer in the United States. So it's really great to have that purchasing power here. We're also a member of the Illinois Solar Energy Association and an approved vendor of the Illinois Shines program here. But I'm also proud to say that StraightUp Solar is a certified B Corporation, that we're come together to make sure that business can be a force for good in our community here. We're evaluated by a third party called B Labs to make sure that we're having a minimal environmental impact on our planet, that we're doing good for our community and we're doing good for our workers here. And again, every day we strive to make our businesses the best it can be for people and planet. So I encourage you not only to check out us in terms of a certified B Corporation, but also our fellow B Corps like Patagonia, King Arthur's Flour, New Belgium Brewery. It really support the businesses that are trying to support our communities. And finally, we're a value-driven company. I want to make sure that we are held to the standards of clear values in everything that we do, and we demonstrate this daily. And we encourage our customers to hold us accountable for demonstrating these values of caring for our community, leading the energy transition, educating everyone, advocating with a purpose, respecting people and planet, and embodying excellence. And I hope today we are able to achieve two of our values in terms of educating everybody today about the Tesla Powerwall 3, and we do an excellent job of it. If not, you can send emails to me and we'll try to improve for next time. So with that, let's just go over our agenda. We're going to talk about how energy storage works. We're going to talk about the Tesla Powerwall 3 characteristics, talk about what it looks like in your basement or in your garage and how we install the Powerwall, and then we'll take your questions and answers. Again, drop your questions in the chat. We'll be sifting through those, and then we're doing a live question and answer session afterwards. The presentation should last probably about 30 minutes, and then we'll take questions and answers. Again, thank you very much for joining us on this beautiful evening. With that, let me turn it over to Andy C., who'll kind of go through how energy storage works.
All right. Thanks, Eric, for that intro. And thanks to everybody for attending here tonight. I'm really excited to see such a great turnout here. And hopefully I get the opportunity to speak with you all one-on-one about your solar and storage projects. Eric, you want to go ahead and move that slide forward? So we're going to cover a fair bit of information. Some of it's going to be high level. I do have to reemphasize, so much of these projects is very custom and tailored to a homeowner's unique situation. So a lot of that detailed conversation will happen when we have a consultation, but we're going to try to get your basic information out to you here tonight. So who is energy storage right for, right? So, battery storage and the Powerwall 3 being a new piece of equipment, very hot topics right now. Specifically within Illinois as well, with the sunsetting of retail net metering happening, battery is going to increasingly become more important to get more bang for your buck on these solar projects. When I'm talking with customers, specifically just about solar even, I like to emphasize that, what you're gaining with solar, it's not just the equipment that we install, it's not just, the savings on your utility bill, that ROI that you're receiving. Really, in a nutshell, high level anyways, what you're gaining is control and predictability, right? So control over your long-term energy costs and predictability over time so that you can plan and budget around those costs. Adding a battery storage solution is just an extension of that. It gives you that next level of control and predictability. When you're talking about battery storage projects, you've got two main use cases, right? So Eric, can you advance that slide there? The first and kind of most obvious use case for a storage solution, right, is to have backup power in the event that the grid goes down, right? When you have a solar system, you are still grid tied. So without a battery option, you're still going to lose power when the grid goes down. And it's really a safety feature, right? Because in effect, you become your own power plant. You've got a power plant on your home. So, if the grid goes down and the utility workers are out there trying to fix the lines, we can't have you sending live electricity back out there because those guys are going to have a really bad day at the office. So you have to disconnect. But, with the storage option, you can introduce the battery to your system, grid shuts down, your battery kicks on, and you can still, get things done at home with electricity. Again, we're going to kind of get into it, but what you can actually do and for how long becomes a very tailored conversation. Let's see here. You want to go ahead and advance that slide there, Eric? The second use case for battery storage gets to more of a conversation in terms of who your utility is. So I kind of already mentioned the sunsetting of retail net metering. And basically what that means, for those who aren't familiar, right now in Illinois, for the investor-owned utilities, that's Ameren, ComEd, Mid-American only. When you've got a solar system installed on your roof, you're using the electricity that your system generates in real time. Any excess electricity that you're not consuming at a given point in time simply goes back out into the utility grid. And with retail net metering, they're going to credit you at the full retail value of that electricity virtually on your account. So effectively, you're kind of using the grid as a battery storage solution from a financial perspective, although you do still, lose power in the event of an outage. As I said, that retail net metering is going away in 2025, and with our install horizons and deadlines that need to be met, we're kind of already up against that. So that's going to be changing next year, meaning the value of the electricity that you send back out onto the grid is going to be the utility's avoided cost or the wholesale cost of electricity. So it's a reduced value. So as you can see with this graphic here, all of this area under that curve is that excess electricity. So with the battery, you can store all of that energy that you've produced but not yet consumed, load shift that into the evening, and discharge your battery when your solar system is not actually producing. So it becomes this continuous cycle of charging and discharging so that you're actually using the energy that you're producing, and you're not just sending it back to the grid at a reduced value. So hopefully that makes sense. Advance that. Incentives for solar and energy storage. So right off the top, the first incentive that is available to everyone in all 50 states is the 30% federal tax credit. All right, this is in place through the Inflation Reduction Act. It has it at 30% through, I believe, 2035 before it's scheduled to step down. But it is a credit against your federal tax liability. So it's not like a check that comes to you in the mail. So I tell all my customers, talk to your trusted tax advisor to make sure you understand how it applies to your unique situation. I do know that you can roll it over multiple years, but it is 30% of the cost of your system. And that includes solar projects, that includes battery storage, that includes some other home energy efficiency upgrades that you can make. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this. But again, you've got to make sure that you've got the tax appetite. But when you're talking about projects like this, 30% is a significant chunk of that cost. So that's available to everybody. The next slide, we're just talking specifically for Illinois homeowners. Okay, folks in Missouri, unfortunately right now, the 30% tax credit is the only major incentive available to you right now. In Illinois, thanks to the Future Energy Jobs Act and the Climate and Equitable Jobs Acts that were recently passed in recent years, we have one of the strongest renewable energy standards portfolios in the nation. That's really encouraging people to invest in renewables. And basically, what this incentive is, this only applies to solar. This doesn't have anything to do with storage right now. But basically, how this one works is, we design a solar system for you. They're going to estimate how much renewable energy the system is projected to produce over the course of 15 years. They ascribe a dollar value to that production, and they're going to write you a check for it reasonably within about a year and a half. Okay, but this is a lump sum payment that comes to you in the form of a check. And this can cover, as you can see on this graphic, an additional 20 to 35% of the cost of the system. As I mentioned, it is based off of the system's productions, the same size system. If you've got a 15 kW system directly pointed south, it's going to have a different SREC value as the same 15 kW system that's pointed west that has a little bit of shading. So it's unique to every person, but we do have the ability to project that value to you when you have a custom consultation with us. So that's the Solar Renewable Energy Credit Program, also the Illinois Shines program that covers solar. And then additionally, for folks that are specifically within Ameren, Illinois, this is not ComEd, this is not Mid-American, this is not municipalities, the smaller utilities, but Ameren has a couple of other rebates that are available. The first one is a smart inverter rebate that will become more valuable now with the sunsetting of retail net metering. But specifically pertinent to tonight's conversation, they've also got an energy storage system rebate that is going to pay you $300 per kilowatt hour for whatever battery solution that you use. So that means for tonight's topic, with the Powerwall 3, that is 13.5 kilowatt hour capacity, you're looking at an additional roughly $4,000 lump sum payment coming back to you within that first year. So as you can see, these incentives start to stack on one another, and you can see on this slide here, you can easily get upwards of 60% of the cost of the system covered through these incentives, and that's not uncommon. So you can see that net cost is that roughly 40%. That's the amount that you're going to be recouping through savings on your utility bill going forward. So this here, I do want to emphasize, this is very back of the napkin rough pricing. Every system is different, and we're going to zero in on that with you in your consultation. But just taking as a rough cut here, if you're going to install a 14.4 kW DC solar system and a single Tesla Powerwall 3 at 13.5 kilowatt hours, you can expect roughly, and again, this is full turnkey. So this is, everything is soup to nuts covered under this cost by StraightUp Solar. So if your solar cost is around $44,000, you add on the Powerwall 3, which includes your inverter as well. That's around $21,000. Now you're going to take 30% of the cost of that, back as a federal tax credit next year when you file your taxes. We've estimated your SREC payment to come back to you just under 20 grand. And remember, that is a lump sum payment that comes to you as a cash check. And similarly, that Ameren, Illinois storage rebate at around $4,000 will come back to you as a check as well. So now your net cost here is just over 22 grand fully installed. So like I said, when you start stacking those incentives, this type of an investment starts to make a whole lot of sense for a whole lot of people. Alrighty. I do want to add a plug here. We are talking about the Tesla Powerwall 3 here tonight, but we do also, far and away, the vast majority of the solar systems that we install are with Enphase systems, and they do also have their own battery storage solution that integrates nicely with their inverter solution. And we're actually planning on having a separate webinar for Enphase battery probably in September. So look out for that if that's something you might be interested in. Alrighty, going forward here. All right, so let's dive in a little bit more about the Powerwall 3. So this is just kind of a back of the baseball card here, statistics about the new Powerwall 3. So there's really 3 iterations of the Powerwall 3 that are planned. Only one of them is available right now, but I'll kind of walk through those. So the first one that you see here, it's really slick. It's got your battery as well as your solar inverter all in housed in this same unit here. So it really kind of cuts down on the amount of equipment that needs to be installed. It's all neatly housed in this casing that's going to install typically in your garage or in an unfinished basement. But as you can see here on the left, your capacity for this battery is 13.5 kilowatt hours. Now, this is actually the same capacity as the previous iteration, the Powerwall 2. One key difference of the Powerwall 3 here is that your continuous backup power, meaning how much output you can have at any given time. So basically what you can do in the event of an outage, what breakers you can run, what appliances you can run concurrently during an outage. The Powerwall 2 was less than half of that. It was 5 kW continuous. So you've got a lot more capability to be doing more at the same time. The flip side of that is that, like I said, it's still 13.5 kilowatt hours. The bucket's the same size, so it'll deplete faster still if you're running a lot of things. So, kind of Doug's line was like Jurassic Park, just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should. So you still want to pay mind to what you're actually using, but it does offer you that flexibility. So you technically could be running your 5-ton HVAC, your hot tub. You could charge an EV. If you're going to do that, we definitely encourage you to have a single battery just for that EV. But it does give you that flexibility. So again, getting back to the iterations of the Powerwall, you've got this main leader unit that has the battery and the inverter. They're also going to have extender units, whereby you can add up to 3 additional batteries to this initial leader unit. Basically, in effect, all you're doing there is just increasing the size of the bucket, right? So you can get a lot more duration, and you're still going to have that 11.5 kW continuous output. So that'll give you a lot more duration. And then the third iteration is going to be an AC coupled. So basically what you're going to be able to do with that is for folks that may already have a storage or a solar system installed. Maybe they've got an Enphase system or SolarEdge or whatever. You can add the new Powerwall 3 AC coupled. But those extenders and the ACs are not yet available, but we expect them hopefully very soon. The Powerwall is also going to come with a 10-year warranty from Tesla, and that does include labor charges as well. You kind of get a rough estimate down here for 1 to 3 batteries is around 22 grand to 45K. Again, it's unique, so don't hang too closely on that pricing. We'll zero in on that together when we're talking about your custom proposal. Alrighty. A few more characteristics about the Powerwall 3. As I said, it does have that solar inverter integrated within the unit. You're going to have time-based controls to take advantage of the time of use. One thing that you won't be able to do specifically within Illinois, some folks will ask about the virtual power plant situation that's available like in California and other markets, whereby you can actually store the energy and sell it back to the grid at an increased rate at high demand. Can't do that in Illinois yet, but maybe down the line we'll be able to do that. It's also got a cool storm watch notification feature whereby it's going to monitor local weather station data, and it's going to make sure that your battery's all charged up and ready to go in anticipation of any oncoming storms. That's really one of the main purposes of the battery. Let's see here. You want to go ahead and advance that. This here is kind of this is another thing that we'll get into when we talk about your unique situation in terms of what you're actually going to be able to back up. Now, within Ameren, you're going to look like closer to the picture on the right. So you're still going to have the unit there, number 3, is the Tesla Gateway. I'm not going to get too far into the weeds in terms of like why that is, but basically when we're talking, the Powerwall 3 reasonably should be able to back up an entire panel for most American homes. Okay, it kind of still gets into that conversation of what you really want to be doing, but it should have that capability. When we talk to you, you're going to let us know part of your job is going to make sure that your breaker panel is fully mapped and accurate. We can do that for you for a fee, but that is kind of the first step. Make sure that your home electrical is all lined up so we know what we're running. We'll come out there and we're also going to take a look at what appliances you're actually trying to run. We're going to take a look at the placards, take a photo. Our in-house engineers are going to take a close look at that, and they're going to be able to tell you, what you should reasonably be able to expect to do. So we're going to identify whether it's the whole panel or if it's a subset of breakers that you're going to be backed up. That's all going to happen in your custom consultation. Let's see here. I think that's it for this slide here. I think at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Doug, and he's going to talk a little bit more about what happens during the actual installation.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you, Eric, and thanks everybody for being here. Hello, my name is Doug Ireland. I am a residential field project coordinator up here in the Bloomington, Normal, Central Illinois region. So generally speaking, I kind of service the area within about a 90-mile radius of Central Illinois. But then we have copy-paste versions of me down there in Southern Illinois and, of course, our St. Louis market as well. But just to speak a little bit about kind of what my role is and where I fit into the fold here, Andy will be kind of the first point of contact for you to sort of talk things through as far as what your expectations are with regards to not only your solar generation, but your backup capabilities and whether or not that Powerwall 3 is going to meet your needs. And once you guys have sort of agreed upon a plan of action to move forward, I come into the fold and complete for you what's called, or what we call here internally, a technical on-site. So we'll schedule that with you. It's usually about a 2.5, 3-hour appointment. Come to your house. We'll take a look at your panel in depth, kind of get a game plan coming together as far as what makes sense for your Powerwall 3 or whatever battery storage option you choose to go with, where the best location is for that in the house. Andy already mentioned garages and a lot of times unfinished basements. Just to clarify, bedrooms are not allowed. So keep that in mind. If you've got kind of like a spare bedroom that's not really used, that's going to be a no-go. Just like to put that out there. But those are all things that we'll talk through when I make that visit. We'll look at your panel. We'll see what the options are. We'll discuss equipment placement. We'll discuss conduit runs. And additionally, I'll go ahead and complete that solar technical on-site as well. Get up on your roof, take a lot of pictures, get roof measurements. We're incorporating drone technology and 3D models into our model design now. So that's a really exciting kind of progression that we've made. A little less time for me up there on the roof, risking life and limb. But that's kind of how that's going to go. So expect that we'll get that scheduled for you. We'll meet face to face. We'll talk about technical concerns, and then generally speaking, you'll be working with myself along with a project manager who we assign to your project as well. And the two of us kind of work in tandem with everything from permitting to designs, reviewing your designs with you if you have any questions, ordering the material, scheduling an install date, and then sending our local crews out to do the work for you. Finally, I kind of come around at the back end. If the install team needs to move on and we go through our commissioning, I set you up with your monitoring portal for your visibility so you can see how exactly that energy is flowing and what your storage is doing, and give you a little bit more robust understanding of what tools you have now as a new system owner to monitor your energy usage and how your system is functioning. So with that being said, I think Eric's got a few examples, photos for you here for us to kind of take a look at. This is kind of a stock photo example of what you can expect your Powerwall 3 to look like. It's a beautiful piece of technology, as you can see. And keep in mind, one of the great things about this product is that it was designed by installers for installers, and Tesla put out a really clean product, whereas in the past you would have that battery with a separate inverter, possibly an additional load center to control power to the batteries or to the inverter. This technology and this new device really just sums everything into one nice clean box. It limits our conduit runs and just comes out with a really clean finish. And I think it's a great leap forward with the direction things are heading with regards to more people being interested in storage options. You can roll on to the next one, Eric. You might have to remind me of the name here, Eric, but this is just kind of a check-in on what a traditional battery. These are actually Powerwall 2, two Powerwall 2s that you're looking at here. One of our Southern Illinois customers, he had a ground mount that you see pictured to the right there out in a lovely field. And rather than losing out on just sending that power back out to the grid, wanted to take a little more ownership, which is where the batteries come into play. So just to kind of point out a few items here on the left side, that's your standard string inverter. It's a Solus brand inverter that we install here pretty regularly. Run it over to a small little panel on the wall, which gives independent power control to those two individual power walls. So this is more of a traditional, up until this point, Powerwall 2 full home backup situation. You've got dual 13.5 kilowatt hour batteries, but as Andy mentioned, we didn't have that same output. We couldn't power as much. We had the storage, but we didn't have the juice to really satisfy everything going on in your typical home. And that's kind of the main difference between the Powerwall 2s and the new Powerwall 3s. A Powerwall 3 is essentially going to replace that dual battery concept, with the exception of, again, like Andy mentioned, if you do have some additional power needs, those DC expansion packs will be coming in the future. But it's really been designed to give you less equipment, but the same capacity. So just a great example there. And here we're taking another look at dual Powerwall setup. This one here is coupled with an Enphase system. So you see the lovely Tesla in the drive, and then that first shiny box above the Powerwall to the right, that's your Enphase combiner. So this would be an example of a microinverter system. You see a conduit running out of that box, which goes up to the array. And then further in that next box with the two conduits running to your Powerwalls there. Again, that's your independent power control to be able to turn on and off each independent battery. Not pictured in this photo, but my presumption would be that gateway device that Andy mentioned kind of acts as the brains and sort of controls the power flow of the entire system, is more than likely mounted exterior because it satisfies an emergency disconnect requirement, which is now required as part of the 2023 code. And I think we got one more. And I actually played a part in this one. This was one of my first battery projects. Managed the roof, and you see a few of our electricians there holding down the StraightUp Solar pose. This is installation we did in Mahomet, Illinois. He had a pre-existing solar array. We went ahead and came in, added an additional expansion onto his solar capacity, and 3 independent Powerwall 13.5 storage devices there. So this truly is, as I said, this truly is a power wall in all shapes and sizes. So as you can see, and as Andy's mentioned numerous times, every installation is going to be unique and different. Your conduit runs, where the equipment makes the most sense to be located, what your backup load storage capabilities are going to be. And that's part of what we work with you to determine on a granular level to make sure that everybody feels good about the installation process, the timeline, and leave you with a great looking product that meets your needs. I think that's it for me, Andy. Back to you.
Yeah, I'll talk real quick about the process. So basically, if you're interested in talking to us about solar and or storage, this is kind of the process. You'd reach out. The first step is to talk to one of our solar support specialists. They're going to collect some basic information and connect you with someone like myself, a project developer. I'm going to call you. We're going to go through a few discovery, questions just to understand, really what your goals are, and then I'm going to prepare a custom proposal for us to review together in detail. When you add in the complexity of a battery project, this step becomes a little bit more in depth. As I said, part of that is making sure that your home electrical panel is all mapped accurately. So we can take a look at that, and you're letting us know exactly, what are your goals? Because we want to understand that to make sure that we can design a system that's going to meet your needs. It does no one any good for us to sell you a bill of goods that ultimately doesn't perform the way we say it is. So we want to do all of our due diligence on the front end to make sure that you understand what you're getting into and what you'll be able to achieve with the system that we design. So we'll go through all that together. And then, once you decide that you want to move forward with the project, we'll get you into the project management phase there in step 3. This is where a lot of the, value comes from partnering with StraightUp Solar. We're handling all of this work on your behalf as a full turnkey solution. Our in-house engineers are doing all their detailed design work. We're interfacing with your local AHJ to get your permits. We're interfacing with your utility to get your interconnection, all that set up. We're also interfacing directly with the Illinois Shines program. We're an approved vendor for that program. So all this work is being handled on your behalf, and we'll keep you looped in on your project's progress as you're going forward. Eventually, we'll zero in on a construction date for you there for step 4. We'll give you an estimate on how long that should take. Typically, 2, 3, 4 days, maybe, depending again on the complexity of the project. And then, of course, we do have to have the utility come out after that, and they'll do their final inspection. They'll give you permission to operate, and that's when you can flip the system on and start enjoying all of your renewable energy there. So I just want to emphasize that, the importance of those initial steps of really understanding what your goals are so that we can design a custom solution for you. Eric, I believe that's back to you.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Doug, and for this great presentation on covering all the nuts and bolts and wires of the Tesla Powerwall 3. We also post a recording on our learning center at straightupsolar.com. So feel free to share that link. It will be on our YouTube channel with many other great webinars on like how to choose a quality solar installer, Illinois 101 and Missouri 101 that goes through the incentives of each of the states and the policies of each of those states in terms of solar energy. So take a look at our learning center. With that, I'll let everyone get out of here before the sun goes down. As solar people, we want to take advantage of the sun as much as possible. So let me thank our residential field project coordinator, Doug Ireland, who'll be out at a home near you, checking on quality, checking on solar energy. And please feel free to give Andy C a call. He's got 6 years of solar knowledge, can help you custom design a solar energy solution for your home. And with that, have a good night and thank you all for attending.
Thanks, everyone. Hope to see you.